XXX Tentacion story documentary. For those who don't know, Joffrey or Jose Onfroy, KX, passed away back in 2018 from getting shot. He was a famous rapper. He was only 20 years old, bro. But let's talk and let's get into it. Let's go.
You all to listen. Listen closely. Life is based off of decisions. It's not about what you're dealt. It's about how you deal with it. In every situation, you must keep your eyes and your mind open at all point in times. Your decisions are what pave your destiny. Fuck what anybody says about you. Fuck what anybody does to you. It's how you deal with it that matters. You are all gods of your own. You are all gods. You are all geniuses. You are all stars. You are all super fucking stars. You are all the greatest beings in the fucking planet. You just have to make the right decisions. And that's all that matters. I love you all.
So right, bro.
Thank you for having me. This is my fucking dream. I love you. I love you all. Good night.
That man X is way too smart, bro.
In South Florida after an up-and-coming rapper is shot dead.
20-year-old Jose Onfroy, known as rapper XXX Tentacion, has died.
Sad, bro.
Jose Onfroy was born on January 23, 1998, to parents Dwayne and Cleopatra in Plantation General Hospital in Florida. Although Jose was healthy, the doctors would notice a problem with his heart, a defect known as a hole in the heart. And although it's common, it did mean Jose grew up being told not to play too rough and would only grow to be 5'6". He spent the first year of his life living with his dad and his dad's girlfriend Tashno Freeman, and Jose's half-sister Ariana. Ariana would go into a lot of detail about Jose's early childhood, but the videos on our YouTube have since been deleted for unknown reasons. But here's what we know. After being born, Jose would visit between his mother and father's home until finally settling in with his dad at 817 36th Street, West Palm Beach. This was in March or April of 1998. He was in a Jamaican family, very inspired by their roots and traditions. Being Jamaican means earning and having respect first and foremost. Jamaican parents often hold their children to greatness. Ariana's mom would be the one to take care of Jose and Ariana for over a year, while his dad provided the income mainly from selling drugs, doing music performances, and odd work on the side. Dwayne always said his son was beautiful, and he always wanted attention as a child. He would cry until he would be picked up, and then he would go quiet. Ariana remembers this is how Jose was. It was like this for less than a year until some dramatic changes in the real path of Jose's.
Tip, guys. Do not spoil your child by picking them up. Just let them freaking cry. My children be trying to do that, bro. Sometimes I pick them up, but other times I know when they're, they just want to be held. Don't always do it because then they're going to be stuck on that.
Life began. Sometime in 1998, Jose's dad had an affair with another woman, having a third child with a third mother. It was only a few months after this video was filmed that Tashno would have enough and call Cleopatra, Jose's biological mom. She asked her to come take her son, and they would meet at a gas station. From there, he would be taken care of mainly by his mother. This didn't mean he didn't have a connection with his dad and Ariana though. They were often visiting on the weekends, and his dad would babysit when needed. His dad loved Jose, and he tried to provide for him even with the new living arrangements. But this meant most of the time, Jose was with his mom living in Pompano Beach. She was a single working mom as a stripper and couldn't always take care of Jose, since he demanded so much attention. She often sent him to babysitters or his grandmother Colette Jones' house. Sometimes her brother, Jose's uncle, would be over days at a time, and I
did not know she was a stripper, bro. That's wow.
Watch Jose. When he needed attention most growing up in his adolescent life, Cleopatra often had different guys over and gave little to no attention to Jose for how much he needed. Although she took care of him the best she could, she was having internal problems of her own, with Dwayne leaving, being stressed with relationships, and taking care of Jose. He never blamed her. He loved her his whole life with deep respect and admiration. In elementary, his mom made sure money came first, and always took care of that for Jose. As long as he had clothes, food, and a place to stay, she thought she was providing the love and attention he needed. He was mostly the outcast kid because of this, but he had some...
I wonder what's the turnaround point, like what caused him to be, you know what I'm saying, like different.
Friends, just different from
What's
other
happening,
kids.
bro?
He was either respected or feared. Everyone knew Jose didn't like bullies, and he would stand up to them, even if it was for other people. He wasn't afraid to be himself.
Appreciate the follow,
However, sometime in 2004, 2005, when he was 6 or 7 years old, two significant events that shaped Jose's future for the worse would happen. Although Jose and his uncle were around each other often, it wasn't always a good thing. His uncle was known to suffer from depression and have outbursts. Sometimes during these outbursts, he would take it out on young Jose, and he would get physical with him. Jose being young, he didn't understand at the time why this was happening. One day while he was at school, his uncle would have an outburst, but this time nobody was around to witness it. Unfortunately, he would take it out on himself. When Jose came home, he was the first one to discover the tragedy of his uncle hanging from the balcony. This event would only feed Jose's anger and depression even more. Just months after this tragic event,
So that's what it was. From a young age, he needed attention. Then boom, him seeing that and his parents being split up. So that caused him, okay, that makes sense.
one of the guys who sold drugs and was seeing his mother had been over the house. Him and Jose's mom had a heated argument, but this wasn't really uncommon in the household. Jose came out of his room when he heard dishes being broken in the kitchen. The argument quickly grew out of hand and the man got physical with Jose's mom. Jose claims the man would have killed his mom, but he interfered, ran, grabbed a piece of broken glass from the dishes, and jumped on top of the man, biting his flesh anywhere he could, as hard as he could, and cutting him and poking him with the glass. This was the first major outburst Jose had shown, and it was a tipping point. After this, Cleo tried to pay more attention to Jose to make sure he wouldn't behave like that again. Over the next year or two, he would soon be leaving elementary school, and would increasingly hate being home when she wasn't there. He loved his mom and always went out of his way for her attention. He chased her in his own words.
Like, okay, y'all look at this. You know, we watched the Juice WRLD story yesterday. Bro, they be damaged from a young age, bro. That's why y'all got some kids, man. Love them and take care of them the right way, because they're going to end up being damaged, bro. All these artists, all these people in the world are damaged because of their childhood.
But slowly things went back to their old ways,
it's not
and Cleo
right, bro.
fell short of her promise to give Jose the attention he needed.
My mom was going through it at a young age, so she wasn't really able to be there, and it wasn't her fault.
She got pregnant again and would give birth to Jose's half-brother. The next years of elementary school into middle school were spent having his aunt babysit him when his mom was gone, and visiting his dad on the weekends where they would go out to eat or the movies. His father was pretty active in his life until this point, but he ran into trouble with the law in January of 2008. Jose's dad had met a man who wanted to buy marijuana in bulk. It was later revealed that the man was an undercover DEA agent. They agreed to sell 800 pounds of marijuana, with Dwayne making the connection along with a few others. A full surveillance team had an investigation and seized over 500 pounds of marijuana. He was arrested with 7 others and held in jail for 2 months before being indicted on March of 2008. The trial would last until 2009. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison for money laundering, conspiracy, and drug trafficking. Jose's dad was a prominent figure in Jose's life, and he provided stability.
So he was in jail for almost 10 years. So his dad went to jail when he was what, like 11 years old?
And just like that, he was gone.
And then boom, that's the main cause. His dad wasn't fucking there in this picture. His teenage years growing up. My point exactly.
Jose started sitting online all day with the laptop he got for
This is
Christmas,
really sad.
just talking to people and interacting, something he continued to do for years. Around 2009-2010, Jose was attending Margate Middle School. It wasn't the best school, but it was the perfect fuel for his rage built up. When he wasn't playing PlayStation or Xbox to distract him from the evil shit in the world, he was getting into fights.
Bro, I've been fighting since I was a kid.
They were throwing fucking bombs, bro.
This eventually led him to get
Have y'all
suspended
seen
and
that
then
one
kicked
fight
out,
he had?
but he had stopped caring
with
about
with
report
that one
cards.
dude in the street. I think he had his gray hair at the time. He beat the brakes out of his ass, bro. He beat the shit out of him.
School in the 6th grade. He had completely failed this year, even though he got straight A's the year
bro.
before. Him and
That's what you look like on Call of Duty when they throw a frag.
his mom argued over things like this because she wanted him to do
God
great
damn, niggas.
academically and
too
go on to
bright.
great things. But
Too
Jose knew
bright.
that wouldn't come from schooling and being a well-behaved student. Jose is who he is
Ultimate light
because
skin
of being
face.
himself, and his mom didn't understand that part of him. He changed dramatically from 2010 to 2011. He changed his style and his clothes to something more similar that he liked. This was the beginning of a transformation from pretty boy to something unique that represented him better. After he was held back and eventually expelled from Margate, he transferred to Lauder Lakes Middle School in the 7th grade. He really started to develop his style and taste into what he liked, Odd Future being one of his inspirations. He always had a few friends or girls talking to him. As he says, he was always friendly unless you did something to him. The only subject Jose actually enjoyed was history. Everything else about school just led to more fights. There's something about fighting that Jose
sense.
loves. He fought for people who couldn't fight for themselves. but he also fought for fun and the thrill. He also admitted to fighting just to get the attention from his mom, because he knew she would have to give him attention after a fight. But over the years, the strain was getting to be too much for his mom. She would take him.
He needed attention, constant attention. That's what it seemed like. Then he was frustrated because he knew too much.
To stay with his aunt or friends for extended periods of time. When his aunt saw that José was interested in music, she wanted José to perform in the church choir. But at one of the recitals, once again, he fought one of the band members who José said kept bugging him. He even beat another kid with drumsticks. His outbursts were taking a toll on everyone around him, especially his mom. Over the next year, when he was finishing 8th grade and going on to high school, his mom would officially kick him out, but still try to be part of his life. He was drifting homeless and talks of this time as feeling lost. José ended up living with his grandmother, Colette Jones, who took care of him the best she could. She lived in the Isles of Inverary, a gated community popular for drug dealing and gang activity. He met kids in the neighborhood who were older, but he was just about to be a freshman. He was bouncing back and forth between staying at his grandma's and some of his friends' houses he had met in the community. His grandma was very religious. She would wake him up for church on Sunday mornings. She had a curfew for him, and if he wasn't home, the door would be locked. He avoided staying there as much as he could and preferred to stay at other friends' houses in the complex. He got into selling weed and taking drugs. He was feeling extremely suicidal. Weed would make him paranoid, so he did drugs like Xanax and Vicodin to numb himself. Most of these nights for José were spent just finding a place to sleep, trying to forget the world's problems for a night. But these problems would be small compared to what was coming.
Please enter your jail number at the top.
Oh, jail calls.
Please clearly state your first and last name after the tone.
José Onfroy.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link. Your call is being processed.
In late 2012, when José was 14, he was stopped by officers one night who had found 21 grams of weed on him. He was indicted and shortly after charged with a felony. As a youth, José was sentenced to 1 month in juvenile detention and a mandatory 6 months in a behavioral correction facility. José turned 15, finished his sentence, and was released. Within a month, he would be arrested again for breaking into a home with several others to steal laptops. It's unclear what he was charged with, as Florida's sunshine laws prevent juvenile records from showing personal information. What we do know is he spent some time in jail again. This is where he would meet Stokely.
We met in jail.
Met in jail.
And the last met in jail, started rapping together type shit.
Stokely had been locked up for minor drug charges, and he went to Piper High School in Sunrise, the same high school José would transfer to after he did his 6 months in the behavior program. While locked up, they would talk.
But the thing I loved about X, though, even though he was a badass dude, he was still cool to a sense. If you was nice to him, he was nice to you. And then if you were loyal to him, especially, he was loyal to you. Cross the line with him, he was gonna whoop your ass.
About how they wanted to hit licks and come up on some money. They even joked about rapping together and would freestyle for fun. This was the same time when José would beat up one of the problem inmates who was transferred into his cell a few days prior. He would later speak on this in his famous No Jumper interview after homophobic allegations came up years later. Right after getting out in early 2013, he was enrolled into Sheridan Behavior Facility. They worked on helping the troubled youth. For an unknown reason, he was kicked out at some time and he didn't want to return to finish it. But he eventually would, and he actually gave recognition to them, saying he did enjoy his time there. He would complete his 6-month program and start high school at Piper in late 2013. Piper High School was a come-and-go school with many people and many faces. There were fights and violence, and José's friends would try to keep him out of trouble. But this is José. He would fight for any reason. And being in high school, this was only more often. They turned into every week. But slowly what would start to take up more of his time was talking with Stokely about rapping.
Tragic, sacrifice insanity for best. A little
Ski ass to slum guy.
Half alive in a basket, and leaking out of savage, come to the man.
They picked up where they left off.
Also, do y'all in the chat, do y'all know who these people are?
With their conversation. They decided they should make a crew, or something like a group, whenever they hit licks. This was the start of their group, Very Rare. One of their friends named Aaron had a snowball microphone and a laptop with recording software on it.
It was like a snowball mic.
Yes, sir.
It was like the cheapest mic you could get. It sit on like 3 prongs, Audacity, and like a laptop. That's how we got distorted music. We actually started making the distortion like to the best of our advantage. So we use distortion in our music.
They decided to rap because they enjoyed it so much, and it was an attempt to stay out of trouble. They wanted to make songs as a group, so they had all written down stage names for themselves. José was the last one to pick one, but he had narrowed it down to a few options. He tweeted to one of his old friends that narrowed down some of the names he liked. His friend tweeted back, "Are you serious? They're unique, but do you really think they would be a good stage name?" José replied, "I don't give a fuck what others think about the name. It's what I want." Stokely went with Ski Mask to
That's why
Smoke
he was
God,
famous.
and Jose would go
He
by
didn't care
Master
about what others
Splinter,
think.
but shortly after changed it to XXX Tentacion. X was the only unknown numeral that he didn't know at the time, and Tentacion was Temptation. Together they made Unknown Temptation. Although they were still up to no good after school, they really started to consider music as a way out. The group started writing their first songs and would record them whenever and wherever they could. One of their first songs together as a group was Palm Trees. The reason the vocals are so quiet in the song is because
What's
they all
the
ditched
first
class and
song
went
you
to the
guys
computer lab.
heard by X? The first song I ever heard by X was "Look at Me." The shit scared me when it came on. I'm not even gonna lie.
To record it.
Because it
X went online
it started with just the beat. It's hey, kick it, and it was like the bass was boosted so fucking heavy, bro.
and created a new SoundCloud account and uploaded this song. Palm Trees
Yours
was the
was
first song he was
Moonlight, yeah.
featured on, but his first ever solo song was named News/Flock, and it
Facts.
recently resurfaced on the internet.
Bad
After Palm
too.
Trees, X began taking music more seriously. He started learning how to use music production software like Audacity and FL Studio. Slowly, he put together a few more tracks. X's friend Mitch Feck helped him transfer the songs
Thought that
from
was Justin
SoundCloud and
Timberlake.
organize them onto an EP that was released on DatPiff as Ice Hotel. X often got inspired from Japanese animation, and he would carry this aesthetic in almost every aspect for
Got
years
a
to
little
come.
stress. You know what
X
I'm
began
saying?
having conversations with the Very Rare group, asking them how serious they were about this rap
Not
shit.
stress, it's
He
just-
wanted to make sure
it just
everyone
feels
around
nice.
him wanted it as bad as him. He continued to slowly release music on SoundCloud, but would often later take it down, like his The Fall EP that was released at the end of 2014. X began recruiting new members to the group, but unfortunately the group's friendship began to strain. X and a group member named Iora would get into a fight, and X and Ski Mask would leave the group to form a new one.
Members
As
only.
of right now, nobody's in Very Rare except me. Deadass.
They named it Members Only. At first, the group only consisted of X and Ski Mask, followed by Absent Will, who became X's first manager. In 2015, they dropped their first tape, Members Only Volume 1. It consisted of songs exclusively by X, Ski, or the both of them. The songs all had a dark and gothic feel. X was starting to find his avenue of music, and he ran with it. Shortly after the tape dropped, they started planning their next one. This time hoping to find more members to feature on the songs. They began recruiting rappers from their local hood and the South Florida hip-hop scene.
Bro, look at their eyes in that picture. You saw that?
Artists that it's big. It's phenomenal, bro. I never seen nothing like this.
As they began performing at small shows and house parties, they started to meet more people in the Broward music scene. They were finally starting to gain a small following after people heard just how different their music was compared to other music out of Florida. The unique thing about Members Only was many of them didn't rap. In fact, X never minded this. He stated as long as everyone was doing something to progress the group, whether it was booking shows, doing artwork, or even making clothes, you had a spot on the team. The group grew to a substantial size of rappers, photographers, videographers, and clothing designers. When booking
Okay.
shows, X often got into it with promoters when he would request 20 people on his guest list. He really wanted everyone to eat. Members Only Volume 2 came out about 6 months after Volume 1. This time the tape featured more artists like Flyboy Tarantino, Enzo, Fuck It, and even a verse from the unknown Smoke Perp. This was a really important time in X's life. He began to see how his behavior, which through his
Thanks.
entire life stunted his growth, was finally beginning to benefit him and his crew in the form of his music. Although he was starting to see the benefits of this behavior, it didn't mean his life was any easier. In fact, he was still fighting and getting into trouble. The group was starting to get recognized as the rowdy kids who started fights. One fight in particular would be filmed and uploaded to World Star Hip Hop, giving X his very first taste of going viral.
I think
This behavior,
yeah.
among other
Oh,
things,
okay.
ultimately led to him being
He
expelled.
wasn't with the gray hair. That's the fight I'm talking about where he beat the dog shit out that dude. Nigga was bleeding from his mouth. Oh, shit. Dude was bleeding from his mouth and nose, man. Hope I ain't skip forward.
Following was still small. His Twitter had a few thousand followers as a result of the fight videos. He would try to tweet all of his followers and get to know them, networking and making new friends every day. X began to enjoy the idea of figuring out social platforms and how to utilize them to his advantage. An early example of this was him removing songs from his SoundCloud to create a sense of scarcity to his music. Almost immediately, people began to search for these lost songs. X would later quote he hoped one day his lost music would be searched for and traded around like Pokemon cards.
That's what's up.
Too much of anything is a horrible thing. None of nothing. Like if you don't supply and there's a heavy demand, when you drop anything or you give out, it's gonna skyrocket.
According to
Well,
Google
very-
Trends, it was the summer of
very, very
2015 when his
smart.
name started to circulate the most, and locals were starting to know about him. At this point, he could guarantee a few thousand plays every time he dropped a new song online. With X at the forefront of the group, they began getting paid a little bit of money for their shows, and people in Florida stated they were so infectious that soon after, other aspiring rappers throughout the region were trying to emulate them. In late 2015, X and a producer named Rojas had become acquainted while sitting around Absent Will's house. Rojas was showing X a few of his beats, but X was passing on all of them. He was looking for something different. The last beat Rojas showed X was co-produced by Rojas and Jimmy Duval, and it was intended for another artist named Retchie P, but he had been locked up, so Rojas considered the beat up for grabs. X liked it. He went into the booth in the closet, and 15 minutes later the song was finished. He would title it Look at Me. For a generation of kids on the brink of the worst mental health crisis.
When I first heard that song, bro, I was turning up to that every single time. Like, I had that song on repeat, bro. That's how good the song was to me. Then after that song, I started listening to more of his songs. Him and Ski Mask and Slump God, bro.
Decades,
Good
X's
old
music
times,
spoke
man.
to them.
2010
Much
was
like how he
just-
stood up for the kids at school who couldn't help themselves. He wanted to be the
Mr.
voice of the
2010s.
youth through his music, and after the song came out, everything started to change.
Like, shit, this shit fire. And then, a couple
What is
days
that on
later,
your
this
face,
shit
man?
blew the fuck up.
Rojas uploaded Look at Me to a SoundCloud page, and in January of 2016, it got its official release for digital download.
I'm still
It
trying to
was
figure out
immediately
who is
turning
this
out to
kid on the freaking cover. Who is that? Look like
be
a
X's
young
most
version of
successful
Logan
song
Paul.
at the time. Although the song wouldn't chart on the Billboard until the end of 2016, it slowly amassed millions of plays on YouTube and SoundCloud over a couple months. X's social media followers began to rise rapidly. While this is happening though, the police were building a case to put X in prison for robbery and assault from the year before. With his name circulating in the underground and a cult-like following, he would be requested multiple times by his new fans to appear on the up-and-coming No Jumper podcast with Adam22. At the time, the podcast was still
Happens every
somewhat
time you on the
small,
rise,
but it was
bro.
catching a lot of attention
Every
for its
time.
underground artist interviews. X's interview would be a groundbreaking moment in his career, but some of the comments he made would
I
later
watched that
on come
interview.
back to cause controversy. This is around the time he was dating a girl named Geneva, and they would quickly move in together. He states the relationship was perfect at first, but he admits this was a bad time in his life where he felt insecure and alone. Although things would quickly go bad in their relationship, he states she was always there for him through a tough part of his life.
I lived with my ex for like a couple, like almost a year. I was literally going insane, and she was my safe haven. Like, I would go to her. She was what I wanted. She was everything for me.
Shortly after, X was booked for
A
his
woman would do
2015
it to you,
robbery
bro.
and assault charges. He was held at Broward Regional Detention Center in Fort Lauderdale. He would be held for a few months before agreeing to house arrest.
Look, I look like a cyborg, dog. Get off my leg!
Upon release, issues with his girlfriend Geneva would get worse after she admitted to sleeping with another man while he was away. These events would later form the allegations of domestic violence between the two. In October, he would be arrested once again for these allegations, and he would plead not guilty, but was still held for violating his house arrest. He would stay locked up for over 6 months.
Damn.
While behind bars, a combination of the allegations against him, along with the start of a beef with rapper Drake, would inevitably bring his name in front of a whole new audience. After Drake released a song titled KMT in early 2017, fans
Bro, look how
immediately
many
noticed it.
dislikes it got on the video. 80K to 50. Oh my gosh. Drake, you fucked up. How many of you guys believe that Drake has something to do with X's death? It makes sense.
Carried a very similar cadence to X's Look at Me.
Okay. Demon just got out of camp.
After word spread online of the similarities, people began
Heck
to
yeah,
check out
bro.
X's music, and Look at Me began to chart on the billboards.
Because, man,
unfortunately, he would have to hear about this from
I'm gonna show y'all something, man.
behind bars. He later pleaded no contest and was released. Wasting no
Just
time,
remind
he
me.
began doing interviews and capitalizing off of his beef with Drake.
Yeah,
with
Drake
all eyes on
is,
him, he
but,
started to work
you know,
on his debut
I heard
mixtape,
he's a
Revenge,
snake, bro, in
which
the
would
industry.
mostly just be a collection of re-released songs. The tape would peak at number 44, and in June, Members Only Volume 3 dropped. He spent most of 2017 releasing music and capitalizing off of the attention he was getting. His charges were still pending from his ex-girlfriend, but the trial kept getting pushed back. After dropping his debut album 17, he had gained a mass following and was breaking out of being considered underground. The album gave fans a real insight to his mind and his struggles. His message was received by fans that they were not alone in this battle. The album shut down all talks of X being a one-hit wonder, and other major artists began to co-sign X and recognize his wide range of talent. He was being considered the voice of the new generation of kids, and he began to make efforts at what looked like change for the better.
So I'm trying my best to escape that realm of mind and that realm of thought in order to evolve into not only a teacher, but just someone to motivate the youth and to push the youth in a positive direction. I know how it feels to be around people and feel alone. Like, I'll be around a million people and I'll like still feel alone.
He would take the 10th and final spot of the 2017 XXL Freshman, which was a fan-voted spot where he would win by a long shot.
Like, look how hurt he looked. Dude, looked like he just hurt.
In October, he would ink a record deal worth well over $6 million with Capitol Records. But shortly after, he would go online to tell people he wasn't releasing any more music. He said, "I'm tired of being mentally abused for trying to help people. I'm tired of the hate. I'm done." While this is going on, he would donate $100,000 to domestic violence prevention programs, as well as plan to host an anti-rape event in Miami. In December, A Christmas Carol EP dropped, and his team would also submit documents signed by his ex-girlfriend that stated she wanted to drop all charges against X. But this request was denied, and he was booked for 7 new charges, including witness tampering, stating they believed he coerced her into signing the papers. He was released 5 days later and put on house arrest until his trial. He was allowed to go to the local studio during this time because of his obligations to his record label. He continued to strive for a more positive life. He would often go live to speak to his fans and try to leave them with positive messages.
I'm just waiting for them to take the ankle monitor off. They said they were only going to keep me on the ankle monitor for like 2 months, but I'm not supposed to be on the ankle monitor much longer. Like I said, if you guys ever want to speak, or if there's ever anything that you want to say to me, or even just to vent, my Instagram DMs or my Twitter DMs.
He launched his YouTube channel and began vlogging and connecting with fans through it. He also started his Helping Hands Challenge, where he would go to different schools and donate items, speaking to the kids about their future.
You know,
he released his song Hope, which was dedicated.
So you know how X was doing that, right? Remember when Drake dropped the banger "God's Plan"? Basically, it seemed like he was taking shots at X.
To the school shooting survivors.
Y'all know that song "God's Plan." God's Plan.
Sent his condolences. He began recording music for his second album. The album was released on March 25th, 2018, and it was titled Question Mark. XXXTentacion would make SoundCloud rap history, as his album debuted at #1 on the charts. His single Sad reached #7, giving him his first ever top 10 song.
Oh, damn. It's the day he died, bro. Yeah, that was a good album. Damn. Oh, no, it's the video that did it. Okay. Oh, I know what he did. It's for copyright. Damn, man. Bro, where was y'all at when X died? I can tell you the whole story where I was at when X died, bro.
Ink a record deal worth well over $6 million.
Okay, I thought I was tripping. I guess the rest of the video is quiet. But real quick before I end this YouTube, because I'm also recording this on for YouTube, just trim it out and stuff. But man, I'm gonna tell y'all where I was at when X died. When I found out he died, I was on the Alabama State campus, right? Hold on, let me put in the chat and scene real quick so I can get a good look. You know what I'm saying? So I was in Alabama State University, right, with this program called Upper Bound. It was a summer program. I was in 11th grade at the time, I believe. And yeah, bro, I was in the lunchroom, or I was in the cafeteria eating. I checked my phone. I see all on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It first said XXXTentacion shot, and he has no posts. I'm like, oh, X was just shot? Nigga, I was just listening to him not too long ago, like 2 hours ago. And then boom, me and my friends, we were like, oh shit. Oh no, bro. X got shot. I hope he make it out alive. 20 minutes later, bro, I checked my phone again. XXXTentacion has passed away, or XXXTentacion was killed, shot and killed. And bro, when I tell you, my heart dropped. My heart dropped so hard because, bro, like I was just getting into his music a whole lot. And it was really, really good music. some music that get you through depression and everything, bro. Just, you know, me being 17 at that time, going on 18, it was just too sad. Rest in peace to XXX Tentacion. But where were y'all at when that was a tragic day? Let's go back to the live scene, man. But yeah, after that situation, I think that night Juice WRLD dropped the song Legends, you know, dedicating the song to Lil Peep and X. Fire song. But rest in peace to Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion, other artists, man. Probably gonna do like a King Von one tomorrow, so y'all stay tuned for that. Anyways, I'll see y'all in the next piece. But that's for YouTube, y'all. So back to the stream. When I was telling y'all about not Juice WRLD, X Drake killed X. I may be tripping, but look, I'm gonna show y'all something. Drake, what's that song called? Sicko Mode. That's right. Sicko Mode video. So I'm about to show y'all something real quick. Yo, start. Come on, bro. Firefox is slow. Yeah, this is Travis and Drake song, but look at this.
Sun is down, freezing cold. That's
in fact, let me get copyright on YouTube. Stream it on YouTube. Find it though. One, he said my dogs will probably do it for Louis Bell. That was one sign right there. Where is it? In fact, I'm gonna do this. There you go. You can't really see that. It's a short. I need a full. Here you go. Maybe you can see it. It's still a short though. Like maybe they reaching, but like it showed this dude getting crushed, and it looked like, you know, X's old hairstyle. I honestly believe. So what do y'all think? Just look up the documentary. We can watch the document, or we can watch the conspiracy theory on stream someday, whenever y'all down. Y'all want to watch it now? I'm down. But first, let me react to my boy video he put in the chat. I got you, Keaton. You think so? To it. You said, wait, maybe don't watch if you're streaming on YouTube. No, it's cool, bro. If it gets taken down on YouTube, it's fine. I'll tell them just come to Twitch or Kick. But you still didn't tell me what happens when they win. Like, what do they win, brother? It's fire. Don't get me wrong, because I didn't know South Korea was like this. But is this all you watch? Oh, it's fire though. I see why you watch these. So you're in love with music, but you're in love with that type of music. And I get it though, because you're in the UK. Watch this. I don't know if y'all heard of this dude, Trap Lord Ross. He's a dude. He's from where you from, actually. You're making documentaries like these, bro. Watch. I don't usually watch him as much.
In February 2026, many rap fans were shocked when Chief Keef would suddenly release a song with NBA Youngboy, the bitter rival of Keef's old friend Lil Durk. Many people viewed Keef's move as disloyal, not just to Durk, but to the whole Chicago drill scene as a whole, given just how bitter and bloody.
Have you heard of King Von? Have you guys heard of King Von, Lil Durk, Chief Keef, Youngboy, all them?
Youngboy and Lil Durk had gotten. Things got deadly in their beef after the 2020 death of Lil Durk's OTF affiliate, King Von, which followed a confrontation involving Youngboy's artist Quando Rondo, all stemming from an online beef between Youngboy and Von. This culminated in the...
Oh, appreciate you, bro. I'll be on the stream tomorrow. So, hey, I appreciate you for coming in, man. You rest. Or you say 6 a.m. Well, whatever you got going on today, I hope you have a great day, bro. Appreciate you.
2024 arrest of Lil Durk alongside several of his OTF affiliates in connection with an alleged murder-for-hire plot that ultimately resulted in the revenge killing of Quando Rondo's cousin Lil Pab in 2022. For fans who were upset, this felt like Chief Keef was finally revealing his true colors, abandoning his old loyalties and aligning himself with whatever wave was the hottest now that Lil Durk was no longer the hottest rapper out. But many younger fans in particular may not realize just how dark the history is between Chief Keef and his childhood friends, Lil Durk and King Von. Their history involves betrayals, home invasions, and even the alleged murder of one of Chief Keef's own family members, with this incident likely being the very reason that Chief Keef permanently distanced himself from his old neighborhood, O-Block, and King Von specifically, with even more cryptic tweets over the years that saw King Von seemingly hinting that he was behind a murder of somebody very close to Chief Keef.
We called Northfield Police this morning and asked them for more information about a shooting involving Keith Cozart, also known as the rapper Chief Keef. Earlier today, someone called our newsroom and said Chief Keef shot him.
Crime scene tape still surrounds the palatial home where the shooting took place, and a police forensic truck sits out front. But no sign of Chief Keef since WGN shot this exclusive video of the rapper being questioned inside the Northfield police station last night.
It's your boy DJ Academic saying, goddamn, that ain't take too long. Restart the first 48 clock, it looks like there's another casualty in Chicago, and this time it's Chief Keef's cousin, known as Blood Money, who was killed in West Englewood, Chicago.
So today, we're going to break down the full history, from the birth of Chicago drill, its golden years, and the present day when it really kind of lies in ruins. And this story will reveal just how a conflict between a few old friends eventually evolved into a full-on gang war between two sets that were once the closest of allies. With all of this leading up to a 2025 double murder of two O-Block veterans. A whole lot of bloodshed that might just trace back to a petty feud between Chief Keef and Lil Durk. This is the story of Front Street and Glow Gang versus OTF and O-Block.
It's crazy how this man's from the UK, right? And he knows so much about the streets and the gang life. But he go and do this trash shit though. But hold on, let's take a listen to his little ad real quick, y'all.
Only one law firm I trust, and it's Morgan & Morgan. Remember that name when you're falling. If you get hit by a truck, who you calling? If you get bit by a dog, who you calling? Only one law firm I trust, and it's Morgan & Morgan. Remember that name when you're falling. Got hurt on the job, and it wasn't your fault. Let Morgan & Morgan fight for results. 35 years running, they got the game in a choke. Hire them to go to battle, because they're ready for...
Nigga, shut the fuck. You know all this stuff about, you know, the street life, and yet you release some ad trash music like this. You could at least put it on a trap beat or something. You trap Laura Ross doing this bullshit. Come on, man.
Smoke. Over 30 bill, one for all their clients. America's largest personal injury law firm, they're giants. Over 1,000 lawyers, they can handle these assignments.
The public interest that does not dismiss its seriousness. All clips are used under the doctrine of fair use for news reporting and analysis. Some points made in this video are opinions and theories. I am not responsible for third-party information. If you want to watch my videos uncut and extended, go to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can get those for just $2. Also, you can now watch my new drops on Spotify, so go search me there. Here's the video.
Oh, he got Spotify, okay.
Growing up on Chicago's South Side, Chief Keef was a popular kid with ties to numerous different gang sets in the area, including Front Street, where he had the strongest family bond, as many of his cousins would belong to that set, and his grandmother lived in the area, with Chief Keef spending long stretches of his childhood living with her personally.
Every day, he come. Can't even cook and eat right. He all come. He all come. I don't know who gonna get famous for this. I don't know who gonna get famous for this. But I know one thing, when they make it, they leave.
However, Chief Keef also had a very strong bond with O-Block, the infamous gang hailing from the Parkway Gardens housing projects where his mother lived, and a gang that Keef would become most associated with after his rap career took off, as he would frequently shout out O-Block the most, even dedicating full songs to the set. But beyond those two, there were also several other sets in the area that Chief Keef would frequently reference in his music and maintained close personal connections to, such as 600, which is located right next to Front Street, No Limit, or the NLMB, which is all the way on the east side, and of course Lamron from the Inglewood neighborhood, which is famously Lil Durk's gang. But while Keef was close with Lamron, when it comes to Keef and Durk's personal relationship, it seems like they were never really the closest of friends. Something that becomes obvious from how few times they would actually make cameos in each other's music videos during the come-up, let alone making songs together. Chief Keef would actually be more often seen with one of Durk's closest friends from his Lamron set, the rapper Lil Reese, who would of course famously be also featured in Chief Keef's breakthrough song, I Don't Like. Still, it's safe to say that Durk and Keef were certainly on good terms, with both also showing love to each other's crew that would ultimately become their respective brands and record labels, with Keef repping OTF or Only the Family, and Alliance and Music Collective started by Lil Durk's Lamron set, while Durk would often show love to Chief Keef's GBE or the Glory Boys Entertainment crew, which at the time included numerous rappers like the already mentioned Lil Reese from Lamron, SD from a set known as Blackgate, Capo from NLMB, Ball Out from Lamron, Trey Savage from a set known as MTV.
Like, look at this man's eyes. His eyes so big, that means he definitely done seen some shit he wasn't supposed to see.
Gino Marley from Front Street, as well as several cousins of Keef's who all repped Front Street, including Fredo Santana, Tado, Just Glow, and Blood Money. OTF and GBE were so close at this point that for them, these two crews basically meant the same thing, as Durk and Lil Reese would rap in their 2012 song OTF. But then, during the summer of 2013, right as the hype around the Chicago drill movement had reached its peak, there would be a mysterious falling out between Keef and Durk, the real reason for this still being uncertain after all of these years. But what we do know is that back on the 5th of June 2013, just as Lil Durk's career was starting to gain real traction with his hit song This Ain't What You Want, releasing about a month earlier, Durk would run into trouble with the law when he was arrested and charged with unlawful use of a weapon, after police would apparently catch him with a stolen Glock. At the time, Chicago's local media would describe Durk as a rapper associated with Chief Keef, a label that showed just how much bigger Keef's name was back then, with Chief Keef basically being the most popular drill artist by a landslide at that time. But not long after the arrest, media reports revealed that Durk's lawyer had obtained an affidavit from a friend claiming ownership of the gun, a detail that would ultimately help Durk beat his case. At this time, Durk, who was still being referred to as Chief Keef crew rapper by the local NBC Chicago 5 News, was ultimately given a bail of $100,000, which Durk needed to pay 10% of, or $10,000 to get out. As the story goes, although Durk had signed a deal with Def Jam over 1 year before this in April 2012, the money from that deal hadn't come through yet, something Durk's lawyer would claim during a bail hearing. So Durk would apparently go to Chief Keef to ask for the money, but instead of giving it to Durk, Keef would apparently allegedly buy a four-wheeler and later boast about it on social media just to rub it in. Then on the 13th of June, while Durk was still locked up in jail, Chief Keef would suddenly decide to make an odd tweet, informing his fans that he was seemingly not affiliated with OTF anymore, but that he was now repping OTG, or Only the Glow, a reference to—
Ain't gonna lie, it is kind of messed up. I mean, but smart. It's smart and kind of messed up.
His Glory Boys Entertainment group, and low-key a little bit—
Those are homeboys, so they, you being big, they expecting you to help out some way. But that's stupid because they still dragging you back down that hole of being good and stuff.
The sneak diss towards Durk's OTF. The following day, after Chief Keef's questionable tweet, it was reported that Durk would finally post his bail on June the 19th, but it would still end up taking about a month before he was actually released. Durk would announce being back home on Twitter with a peculiar line, telling how he was back while asking if you missed him or if you didn't care. This line actually being lifted from Chief Keef's First Day Out song that he had dropped after being released from Juvie himself back in March 2013. In that context, it definitely makes the tweet from Durk look like a subtle diss towards Keef. But following Lil Durk's release, Chief Keef would also keep throwing shade at Lil Durk's OTF crew, eventually causing OTF members to respond with some very harsh words. As Durk's OTF affiliate, Chief Wook, would begin posting explicit disses towards Keef on Twitter, accusing him of not being a stand-up friend and failing to help someone who needed bail money, despite having just signed a $6 million record deal. However, when Lil Durk was later asked in an interview why no one bailed him out, including French Montana, whose Coke Boys imprint Durk was repping at the time, Durk would respond that money wasn't the issue and that he could have bailed himself out, but because he was facing a parole violation, he wasn't eligible for release until the end of July.
Wants to know how come French didn't bail you out?
Well, I could bail myself out.
Right.
And for two, he could bail me out too. But at the same time, I had a violation of parole, so I couldn't bond out till the day I got out.
But that may well have just been Durk trying to save face, as he would soon join in the disrespect towards Chief Keef's crew, with Durk retweeting his friends' posts and making his own stance clear, saying that he was still in the hood rather than living in the wealthy suburbs outside of Chicago like Keef was, as well as directly stating how it was—
Chief Keef is smart, bro. There's no, you can't deny that.
now FGBE, dissing Keef's crew. Chief Keef would respond by not mentioning Durk or OTF directly, instead posting more subliminal disses, saying certain people were making him laugh, while seemingly telling Durk that he still had love for him, but then later implying that Durk was messing with his ops, likely referring to Durk making music with the Migos, who Keef was beefing with heavily at this time. Keef would also seemingly imply that the only reason Durk had gotten signed to Def Jam was because of him, a tweet that he would apparently later delete, while Durk's far more spooky reply actually still remains online, where he would suggest that Chief Keef would have been killed if it wasn't for 300, another alliance of gangs started by Lil Durk's Lamron set. Keef would eventually end the exchange by declaring that on O.D. Perry's grave, the fallen O-Block member that gang is named after, he was done engaging in any further online beef. Keef's tweet would reveal that at this point, he was still very much tied in with the other sets that he was close with, particularly O-Block. In fact, on June the 10th, 3 days before Keef announced that he was seemingly not repping OTF anymore, his friend from O-Block, an older member called Boss Top, would release his first music video for a song titled 30 Choppers, which ironically featured none other than Lil Durk. Keef can be seen walking through O-Block, something that had already become rare at this point, as Chicago police have reportedly...
This dude right here look like he want to snake him out so bad. Don't he?
Banned him from returning to his old neighborhood due to his fame and the chaos that his presence would attract. And while Boss Top had just done a song with Durk, even after Keef would have a falling out with Durk, he would keep shouting out Boss Top on his Twitter, while announcing that he was repping nothing else other than O-Block, and how he has a squad full of killers, before throwing more shade at Durk, saying how he used to be a brick, a derogatory term for a GD, or gangster disciple, as Durk's father was a notorious GD who had allegedly worked directly under its founder, Larry Hoover. But Durk's OTF crew generally identify as BD or Black Disciple, like the rest of the O-Block gang. But anyway, from here, Durk would fire back with disses of his own, even mocking Keef for allegedly breaking down in court in January 2013 when he was sentenced to 60 days in juvenile detention. Meanwhile, Chief Keef would continue to promote the music of Boss Top, dropping a trailer for their upcoming collaboration, a song and music video titled Gunja. By August, it appeared that the tension between Chief Keef and Lil Durk had temporarily cooled off, at least according to Durk, who would downplay the situation during an interview with Sway's Universe, saying it had been nothing more than just some words.
A lot of people have been tweeting me to ask you about your relationship with Chief Keef because of things have been going back and forth. What is the status of that right now?
It was just a little bit of words. It ain't nothing major though.
Yeah, ain't nothing major.
Nah,
the nigga was too street smart, bro, to expose anything.
Have y'all communicated since then? Have y'all?
Yeah, we had a little few words to be on some, man. We cooling right now, so
yeah.
So I respected that. We respect each other. We got love for each other, so. You know how that Twitter is. You know, Twitter gonna take everything the wrong way.
Ain't Twitter a trip?
But unfortunately, Chief Keef would keep tweeting subliminal jabs, like trolling Durk with a four-wheeler purchase, as well as announcing that he was still affiliated with several Black Disciple sets and alliances, besides O-Block, including Blackgate, 300, and 600, but notably leaving OTF out of his list. Durk, on the other hand, would seemingly respond to Keef by throwing his own subliminals, as he would tweet how he was all about the bike life, not four-wheelers. But fortunately, the feud between Keef and Durk would remain confined to the internet, and it may have even benefited both of their careers, particularly Lil Durk's, who at the time was still a far less established artist than Chief Keef. But things were about to take a darker turn for Keef, as the following month a tragedy occurred that allegedly led to a fallout between him and his own set of O-Block. On the 2nd of September 2013, one of the most respected members of O-Block, and you could even say one of their unofficial leaders, a member called J Money or J Munna, real name Jerome Wood, was fatally shot in the Woodlawn neighborhood, allegedly backdoored by a woman and killed by a member of the rival STL EBT set. The loss of J Money was a huge blow to O-Block, and they would begin to call their set GBMG, or Glowboys Munna Gang, in his honor. J Money had also been close with Chief Keef personally, and could often be seen repping his Glory Boys merch. However, after J Money's death, it wasn't Chief Keef who was paying homage, but it was actually Lil Durk, who would make numerous posts about J Money, whereas Chief Keef would seemingly be strangely quiet about the matter, perhaps too busy touring the country with his friends from the Glory Boys crew. Apparently, Chief Keef wouldn't even show up at J Money's funeral, which was packed with a large crowd, including Lil Durk himself, who was photographed there wearing an RIP J Money shirt. This being despite indications that Chief Keef might have been back in Chicago at the time of the funeral. So this was a bad look, but I think you got to give Chief Keef...
He was really that guy. Like, he had the whole block packed at his funeral, look like.
Some grace here. After all, at this point he was already a national and international superstar, and him showing up to an already packed funeral in the middle of the hood would have likely caused major chaos, not to mention a security concern, especially given how many funerals are already commonly shot up in Chicago those days. Nevertheless, some believe that this actually marked the beginning of the end for Chief Keef's relationship with O-Block, as members in his old circle began to feel he wasn't paying enough attention to them after his rise to fame, with Boss Top making a wild tweet at Chief Keef and saying that he knows he saw his text and that he's going to get his girl pregnant as revenge. Following this, O-Block would now become much more tied in with Lil Durk and OTF, as Durk remained much more locked in with his old street circles despite his rising profile in the rap game. This shift in friendships and alliances would come to a head in 2014 when another alleged dispute over bail money surfaced, this time having deadly consequences.
Man.
Heading into 2014, Chief Keef would officially change his crew and label name to Glow Gang, and the former GBE or Glory Boys Entertainment would stop existing. This would also cause some changes in the crew's composition, as Chief Keef's cousin Fredo Santana would go on to start his own record label called Savage Squad Records, joined by guys like Gino Marley, while Keef would also eventually have a falling out with his friend SD. But despite the change of name and the lineup of the crew, it was obvious that the beef between Dirk's OTF and Chief Keef's Glow Gang was still simmering, and in January of 2014, Glow Gang member Ball Out reignited tensions in a major way by posting a diss aimed at Lil Durk and OTF on Facebook, calling the whole crew. Meanwhile, the friendship between Glow Gang and O-Block was still going strong, at least on the surface, but deep down, cracks begun to show. One example is a story told by Tay Capone from the 600 set, who would often go to Chief Keef's mansion around this time, joined by members from other sets like O-Block. During one of these trips, he reportedly witnessed tension forming between O-Block member Boss Top and Chief Keef's cousin Blood Money, as according to Tay, Blood Money had lent Boss Top a watch, which Boss Top allegedly tried to keep for himself.
Blood Money had let Top see a watch, folks. This when we all dirty. This was Sosa and them first getting on. We first going up north to folks' crib. Man, Blood Money done let folks wear his watch on BD. Like, let folks wear a watch to do whatever. I don't know, folks, on BD.
Chicago dudes.
On Steve.
On BD. On Steve.
Folks, get on them.
On King David.
No, we pull up the folks' crib. We in a Vino. Folks would be picking us up in these, like, big black van on King David.
See,
we in a Vino,
King
folks.
David.
We pull up to we in the driveway, all the guys getting out. I'm like the last before the last, top the last one. I'm finna get out, folks. So Blood Money already out. He didn't ride with us. He pulling up in his own traffic, folks. On Steve Gray. He pull up, he see Top in a van. Top don't even get a chance to get out. I didn't even get a chance to get out yet. Folks walk clean up to the van. Peek in a van door. He slapped the door like, hey, folks, where my watch at? I swear to God, I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. Top seen Blood pull up, folks. He had the watch on. He tell me, like, folks, he take the watch off, put it in his pocket on my son's life. He take it off, put it in his pocket. He is ass for me. Ooh. He take the watch off, put it in his pocket on my son's life. I could drop dead right now. He put it in his pocket. Right before Blood walk up to the Vino on Steve. Blood walk right up to the Vino. What my watch? Woo. Folks, mercy, man. Oh, I left that. I'm just like, I didn't never say nothing. I'm listening to the dialogue, folks, and I'm just so hurt and shocked in my head. Like, my head getting fucked up, folks, because I just seen you take this off and slide it in your pocket, and you just said, oh, he finna walk up talking about this watch. And on folk grade, like, you real loud, like, just mercy, you ain't had this man watch, you had it on folk grade. Like, I'm down.
Bro, you can't have, bro. This is why I say,
According to Tay, this rift would eventually.
That's why I say, bro, you gotta keep your circle small. Like, these big gangs with all these folks in it, a bunch of men in it, bro, it ain't worth all that. Because you don't know, you really don't know most of them. You just affiliated with them because y'all in the same gang, but you don't know what they mind be at. They probably want to go and backdoor you stuff that you have, or just backdoor you just because. Keep that circle small, bro.
Be solved, and the two would go back to being cool. But coming into March, things would suddenly go all the way left, as Chief Keef's childhood friends from O-Block would suddenly join in on dissing him on social media. On March the 25th, Boss Top would make several ominous tweets saying how someone was no longer part of the gang, as well as telling them to pick a side, and announcing that O-Block, the real O-Block as he would specify, would get into it with anyone. This tweet interestingly getting an approval from both Lil Durk and a young King Von, who had been a close friend of Chief Keef's since a very young age. And Keef would still post Von numerous times on his social media, even after blowing up as a rapper in 2012. Although it seemed that as time passed, Keef had less and less time for many of his old friends from O-Block.
Damn, bro, I wish I could have streamed a little longer. But anyways, I'm about to pack this stream up, y'all. It good a little hour stream. One of these days, I got off really late. That's why I wasn't able to do like a 2-hour stream. But when I get more time, I'm gonna be doing 2 to 3 hour streams more. We're gonna be reacting to videos and just vibing and chilling, bro, and talking. Like, anything y'all want to talk about, get off your chest. You know, just slide up in this stream, bro. You going through depression, going through just sad times, you just need somebody to talk to. You got me here. You got 3. I love trying to help somebody. Love people. So if you watching this, and you know you going through something, bro, don't be ashamed. You don't gotta let out your whole business, but you just need some advice, bro. Anyways, man, I hope y'all have a great night. I'm about to get me some Z's because if you see it in my face, I am tired, bro. I'm sleepy. I'm about to get up out of here, man. But I'll see y'all tomorrow in the next stream. Peace. Hold on. Let me say that one more time.